Okay, hello everyone. This is Incro, and in today's episode of Python Tutorials with Sin, we're gonna take a look at mathematical or arithmetic operators with Python. So most programming languages, or even all of them, have arithmetic operations, or a way to implement them, right? So what that basically means is that you can do math in Python, right? So for this tutorial, we'll mostly be using the console, though we're also gonna use the text editor as well, so you can see some things that we're gonna discuss. But mostly we're just gonna stick to the console or the terminal. So we're gonna put this here, and to use Python on the terminal, the only thing you need to do is just put Python, right? And if you have multiple versions of Python, then you would put like Python 3 or Python 2 here to the side. But anyway, um, so let's do some simple maths. Let's say 3 plus 3, that's gonna be 6, of course. And then we can also subtract things using our usual symbols, so that gives us 3. And then we can also do a combination of the two or more operations. So 5 plus 5 and then minus 3, 7. Cool, right? So let's do some multiplication now. Do you do multiplication on Python by using the asterisk? So let's say 4 multiplied by 2 should be 8, yeah. And then to divide, we're gonna use the slash. So we're gonna divide 4 by 2, and we get 2. And this decimal guy here, we're gonna talk about this and how this is different from this. But let's get going with the operations. Now you can also use negative numbers in here. We also need to get used to the word integer, so keep that in mind. So let's say we have a negative 4, right? And that's just gonna print the number. Also, Python and most languages as well use the PEMDAS rule. So if you have something in between parentheses, that's gonna go first than anything else. So let's say we're gonna multiply whatever's inside the parentheses by 2, right? And then we put 3 plus 4, we have 14. So let's say we have a negative number now, say 3, and we wanna add that to another negative number, that's gonna be 6, and then multiply it by 2, and we get negative 18. Simple enough, right? But important note before we proceed, if we do any number, let's say 76 divided by 0, we all know this rule, you cannot divide it by 0, it's impossible. We're gonna get an error. So yeah. Let's get into the decimals, or in this case we're gonna call them floats, because that's the type of number that they are. So decimals are basically what you get from a division, and there you can see an example of that. Whatever you divide in Python can be a decimal, and it's or a float. We're gonna get used to the word floats and ints. Yeah, so here you can see everything we divide is gonna give us a float, and a float is just an approximation. It's not exact. It's as close as it can get to a real number. You can also use them to do operations. So let's say we wanna add these two, and we get that. Right? Now let's talk about other types of operations in Python. So we can also do exponentials. Let's say, and how you do this is basically two asterisks. So let's say I want to do it this, and as you can see, it works out. You can also get the remainder of a number by using um, the floor division and the modulo operators. So how you do this is for the quotient, um, you do two slashes, right? And then that gives, right. And as you can see, it works out cool. For the modulo one, you're gonna use the percentage sign, and it gives us our remainder. Well, that's about it with operations, honestly. Now, I'm gonna get into another topic here, now that we're in this video where a lot of math is being made. I'm gonna exit out of Python. I usually exit out of Python by pressing left Control and Z, and then pressing enter, but you can also exit Python by using the exit function, which looks like this. I'm gonna clear this out, and then let's get into some variables. Right, so there's multiple types of variables. Well, yeah, so we have integers, which are whole numbers, like 40, for instance. Then we have strings, which we talked about in the last video, which is a set of characters, an array of characters, rather. And this is important, how you make a variable, or how you set it, rather. You basically need a name. So let's say num, which stands for number, equals 40. And then we're gonna do some spacing so it looks good. And then string equals 1 to 5, right? So we have that down there. Variables really help you in programming. You're gonna use them a lot. I swear to God, you're gonna use them a lot, because they're basically spaces in memory where you can store information. That's all they are. And you can use this information in different parts of the program. So this is how you set a variable. So let's see. Another topic we're gonna get into here is comments in Python, and how you do single line comments is by putting a hashtag or a number sign or whatever you wanna call it, and then you can say this is an integer or int, and this is a string, so we're gonna put string. Alright, so a float or a decimal number would be something like this. And then we have characters. And again, you can name these variables whatever you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be this. But I would usually say use variable names that actually mean something. For example, you have num here. This stands for number, because this is a number, of course. And then you have str for string, but that's usually just a type. But yeah, name your variable something that makes sense, that is understandable, because people in the future might read your code and say, well, what the hell is this? Because you just name a variable pizza, and then it doesn't have anything to do with pizza. It's just like random characters in one string, right? So a character is one single character. We also have booleans. And what is a boolean? Well, it's basically true or false. Those are the two values you can use with booleans. And it can be either a 1 or a 0, or a true or false. It depends on what you want to do. In other languages, you would usually put the true as with a lowercase t and false with a lowercase f. But Python is weird and likes to do things a bit odd, so you gotta true with a capital T, and that works out. And then so there's some naming rules for variables that you must need to use, because otherwise you'll get a syntax error. So first of all, don't name your variable starting with a number, because that's just not gonna work. This is gonna give you an error, and if we run the program, we can see that. There you got it. And then spaces are also not allowed. So if we get rid of this, let's say, and then put a spacer, that's gonna give us a syntax error as well. Alright, so figure this out. So yeah, I just follow the simple naming rules. Anything else is about fine. You also need to put the equal sign. That's something you always need to put there. So yeah, with variables there isn't anything else for now, that is, because we're gonna use this a lot. But keep in mind, this is how you set a variable. These are the types of variables. And I think that's about it for this video, and we're gonna get into how to use the variables in the future video that I'm gonna make next week. Be tuned for that, and yeah, I'll see you later, guys.